Hello, and welcome to the Novel Matters podcast. I'm Cassie.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are so happy you're here with us today. Actually, this is not technically our first episode.
No.
It is our third. We've done this twice already, and we've had technical difficulties. So, nevertheless, third time's a charm.
Yes, we're prevailing.
Yes. How have you been, Sarah?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. I've been really busy lately.
Yeah, you just got back from spring break.
Yes, and it was extended with all the flooding that was happening here.
That's true.
Yeah, so the first 3 days that we were supposed to be back in school, we weren't, which, I mean, I'm not complaining, but
right.
Yeah, that made Thursday and Friday hard, though, with the kids.
Absolutely. I'm sure that they probably were like stir crazy and stuff.
Very energetic. So this weekend, even though we had 2 days, it's much needed.
Well, I'm glad that you had a great time on your spring break. It sounded fun.
A little stressful with the weather driving down.
It
was terrifying. There were multiple times we were driving through Tennessee and Arkansas, and I was like, I just want to go back home. Like, I'm afraid. The amount of hydroplaning that was happening. And then semis, like when we're on the highway, they would just come up on your tail.
I hate that.
And they're not slowing down. And your first thought is like, I'm dying.
Yeah,
they're just going to ram right into the back of us and we're dying. And then they switch at the last minute.
You said that you experienced snow, right? And it wasn't floods, or it was flooding, like on the way down?
It was flooding.
Flooding, okay.
Yeah. I mean, just on the roads, like where they don't have proper drainage systems. But it was bad.
Well, we went down to Austin in October, and the Arkansas roads are weird. Like, it was so bumpy, and it was the interstate too. But we experienced like the most roughest, bumpiest roads in Arkansas specifically.
Yes.
That I'm pretty sure, I don't want to say that I messed up my car after, because my car is perfectly fine. But I thought that my car was messed up because of how bumpy and like shaky those roads were.
Yeah, the amount of potholes.
Yes.
On main roads like that, it was crazy. And it made the flooding worse, I think, because of I don't know how to describe it, but we're driving over this and you feel the potholes and you know you're going over them, but it was like you were ice skating. That's what it felt like.
I hate that.
Yeah, it was terrifying. So I'm glad to be back home.
Oh, absolutely. But what was your favorite thing about the trip?
Well, our first night that we were there, my friend Krishana, she took us to this. It was kind of like a club, but not.
It was like house music.
Yeah, it was a house music place, and that's usually not my thing, but it was a great time. I think a lot of it was I was kind of sleep deprived at that point.
Yeah.
Because we went after, well, first of all, we woke up at like 3:30 in the morning to drive down there. So we were very tired, but it was a good time. And just like, I love to people watch.
Oh, absolutely.
So the people that were there just dancing their little hearts out, I was like, period.
Yes.
Get it. I was like, I didn't know people dance like that in public, but I like the vibe. Go for it.
Yes. That reminds me of like a place up on Barshon Road called Atomic. And that is just the most fun place to like dance and people watch. It's a good time.
Well, shall we get into it?
We shall.
Okay. You take us into the next.
So we're going to go over our current reads. And the last time that we spoke, I was also reading this. I've been in a little bit of a book slump lately, just trying to get through the stuff that I'm obligated to get through, and then stuff that's just taking me a while to get through. But I am currently reading Almond by Sun Won Young, and that has been an excellent book. I find myself just being like, okay, let's see what Almond's up to today. And I really like that. What are your current reads?
Well, I just started Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I'm literally on like the third page because I started it yesterday. I still think I'm on the Am I the Asshole Reddit post part. So like I started reading it yesterday afternoon when I was waiting on my friends to get to Social on Main. Opened up because I'm doing it through my phone, like on the Kindle app.
Yeah.
So I started reading it then. And then when I got home, I tried reading it, but I was really falling asleep. So I was like, I can't. I just have to go to bed.
Yes. I find myself, if I'm too tired to read, I just have to shut it off because I'm not going to retain anything that I just read and have to like go back. But I love Abby Jimenez. She just writes so beautifully. And it's such like a fun, quirky time every single time that I read one of her books.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I'm excited for just like the easiness of a romance book.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You know what I just saw? I'm not sure if you're familiar with this author, but it's Ashley Poston. She wrote the 7-Year Slip, which is a really good book, but she's coming to a novel romance in Louisville. And I was like, we have to go.
When is that?
In June.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
I hope
June
I'm here.
too.
Okay,
no,
good.
Late June,
good.
Yes.
Well, okay, that's good. Because Alex and I, after we get back from Italy, then we're going with his parents to South Dakota.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to go to the Badlands and all that stuff. So
that would be so much fun.
But we're doing that, I think, right after 4th of July. So we should be fine.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Well, going back into it, I just finished My Murder by Katie Williams, and that was really good. I can't remember how I stumbled upon this book, but it probably was TikTok. And the premise by that book is essentially this girl was murdered by a serial killer, and they now have the capability to clone women or anybody really who dies. And so she gets cloned after her murder and she has to like live her life. And she finds out like just a bunch of stuff about like her murder specifically. I won't give it away, but the ending, I liked it up until the ending because I feel like the ending, they were just kind of like rushing it and it took a different twist than what I thought initially it would end as. So the ending kind of ruined, I don't want to say ruined because I still really liked the book, but the ending disappointed me just a little bit.
Just had different expectations.
Yes.
Well, I finished The Shadows of What Was Lost by James Islington. And this is the same author that wrote The Will of the Many.
Okay. You loved that book.
Yes. Like top tier. I won't consider it one of my Roman empires yet.
Okay.
I'm going to do a reread.
It should though, because this is like the...
I know, but
we've talked about this on several occasions.
But after reading The Shadows of What Was Lost, I'm like, he set the bar so high with The Will of the Many. Yeah. And I know he wrote that after the one I just read. But still, it's like, I feel like anything, like any other series that I read by him, it's not going to live up to The Will of the Many. So I gave it 3 stars. And it was still really good. He's just the world building that he does. Yeah. And just his imagination, it's pretty wild.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I know that like you've talked about The Will of the Many, and now I want to read that book too. So after you've hyped it up.
Look, so Alex.
Yeah.
He read it. He's obsessed. Yes. He's like keeping updated on when it's released, like when the next one's coming out. And he said if we do the podcast for either The Will of the Many, if you end up reading it, or the second one, he was like, I want to be on that podcast because I want to talk about it.
It's on, Alex. I'll definitely read it.
And he gets so into it.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Well, and then we're also, I don't know if you've started it, but we are reading The Wedding People by Alison Esbach. And that's for our book club.
Yeah.
Have you started?
I read it last year.
Okay.
So you guys can read it again. I'm not reading it again. No. It was really good.
Okay, good.
But there's so many books that I want to read that I just don't want to do a reread of that book.
I don't blame you. It's hard for me to reread books. It has to be 5+ stars for me to even be interested in rereading it. Because there's just so many books out there that I'm like, okay, I've read this before. Like, I don't need to read it again.
Exactly. Or it just has to be a really long time in between.
Yes, I agree. Should we get into our rating? So we read The Book of X by Sarah Rose Etter. So that is the book that we're going to be currently reviewing. Do you want to get into your ratings before we get into the details?
Can I do my TBR real quick?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. My TBR is Good Material by Dolly Adderton.
Oh,
I've had
yes.
that book for probably 2 months now. So I need it. I don't know what to expect. Like, I don't even remember the synopsis
Yeah.
at this point. I just know the cover is pretty and it's been sitting on my bookshelf.
I love the color.
Is it good? Have you read it?
I've never read it, but
Okay.
the cover, every time that I'm in like Barnes & Noble or a bookstore, I'm just like, this just looks beautiful.
I've heard good things though, so I'm looking forward to it. And then Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I've tried Mistborn, and I just don't think I was in the right headspace to read Mistborn a few years ago. So now someone was like, Tress of the Emerald Sea is the best one to get into Brandon Sanderson because it's not as like complicated.
Yes.
Because I guess the world building is pretty wild and complex. And the next one is The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings in the Magnolia Parks universe.
I want to get into the Magnolia Parks universe.
It's so good. Which, look, I'm not a Magnolia girly, like I'm more of a Daisy girly, but you'll understand more about that if you read it.
Yes.
But yeah, those are on my TBR right now.
Because the Magnolia Park series, specifically, have you heard of Blackwell's? It's like the UK bookstore, and they always have the best covers compared to the US book covers.
Yes.
And I want to buy their series of it because the book covers are just so beautiful.
And the ones we have here are like, I don't want to say trashy covers, but that's kind of what it's giving. And that's literally why I've not bought the physical books.
Yeah.
Because I hate the cover so much.
I know. It's so sad.
But it's fine.
We'll get them one day.
Maybe when I go to Scotland, they'll have those covers there and I can get us the covers.
Yes. Oh, you'll have to be on the lookout. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, yay. Now I'm looking forward to that.
Now we're super excited for that.
Okay. So summary. You want me to go for it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So the Book of X tells the tale of Cassie. Not me, Cassie. The character Cassie. A girl born with her stomach twisted into a knot. From childhood with her parents on the family meat farm to a desk job in the city, to finally experiencing love, she grapples with her body, men, and society while imagining a softer world than the one she is in. The Book of X is a haunting, surreal exploration of womanhood, bodily autonomy, and inherited trauma. Through its fragmented narrative and vivid imagery, the novel delves into the complexities of identity and the societal pressures women face.
So what did you rate this book?
Okay.
Because we've exchanged some text messages about this book. And I feel like, kind of skipping over a little bit. This book was recommended to me by a friend, and they said that this was their 5-star read for like 2024.
Wow.
And that it does grapple with a lot of content and emotion and like the female experience, especially in our society. And I was like, okay, say less. Like, that is definitely something that I
You almost did the microphone with her.
That's definitely something that I enjoy reading or want to experience as well. So initially going into this book, it's a little intimidating, and it feels like equations are happening all throughout your head because of the intense metaphors that are happening. So that was kind of like my first impression of like going into it. What was yours?
Well, I remember texting you because I didn't want to buy it on Kindle yet, so I did the sample.
Yeah.
But I also got it on Audible because I had credits ready. So I was listening to it first.
Okay.
And I was on a walk listening to this. And I was like, what the hell is happening? I am so confused. And like you said, it was like I was that meme of the woman just standing there with all the equations around her head. And I was like, what does any of this mean?
Yes.
So right off the bat, I'm like, I don't want to read this book. It's so hard just to understand what's going on.
Yes.
So I rated it 3 stars. And I feel like that's kind of me being generous.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do 2. just from my like personal opinion of the book.
Yeah.
But I ended up giving it that 3rd star because it was still really well written. And I can appreciate the fact that all the metaphors that were used and just like the imagery that Etter used and throughout there, it was truly like nothing I've ever read before. So I got to give her credit for that.
Literally. I also gave it a 3 stars. I will say I do reserve the right to change that at any point in time because I am the type of person that has to sit on a book for quite a while. And I did finish it 2 days ago. So I feel like I just need some time to sit with the content for a little bit before I actually can sink in that 3 stars.
Yeah. Do you think over time it'll go to a 2 star or to a 4 star?
I would say that it would go up in a rating for me if I had the time to sit on it.
I think if I sit on it more, it's going to drop because I'm still just sitting here thinking about how much I did not like the book.
Yeah.
I was venting to Alex about it over the 3 days because it was pretty short.
It was.
But yeah, I was venting to Alex about it a lot. I was like, I don't want to open up the book and keep reading it.
I know.
And the style of it was just so odd. It felt like when you're flipping through magazines and those editorials, that's kind of what it felt like you were reading almost.
Yeah, because it was kind of like it was broken down into short little paragraphs and then even short little sentences. And it didn't fill like a page, or most of the content didn't fill a page. Then at like the end of like the segment, it would have facts about what was kind of like talked about. And then it would have visions. Yeah. And so that was kind of like how the book was set up. So it was a really like quick read because of that. But it was very heavy in like the metaphors and symbolism that you had to really pay attention to what was being said or what Etter wanted the reader to understand.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to be in the right headspace for that too. And I don't think I was.
No. Well, I was just enjoying a beautiful day, going on my walk, and then this audiobook just slapped me in the face.
Yes.
But okay, let's go into themes real quick.
Definitely.
Well, first, I do want to say I think this was a hard read for me because this is considered surrealist literature.
Yes.
I think that's why I was like, what? Because nothing is said in like a literal way almost. Like everything has a double meaning in this.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just want to read something and it mean what it says.
Oh, yeah.
At least for half of the book, you know? So,
I know, I agree.
I struggled with this.
I feel like I'm a literal person anyways, so that's what I usually gravitate for. And I do believe this was my first like surrealist novel. So also going into that with the heavy metaphors and the heavy content, I think that kind of threw me for a loop in not understanding or not grappling with it as well or as I should have.
Yeah. So one of the themes that I picked up on was ultimately just bodily autonomy and female identity.
Yeah.
This is what I have down here. Her deformity of the knot, a literal knot in her stomach. This is what we're talking about here. A literal knot as her stomach symbolizes the constraints and expectations imposed on female bodies.
That's what I picked up too, because what I have for that is my first theme was the female body and objectification. So I said powerful symbol of how society imposes shame and suffering onto the female body. Medical institutions, classmates, and even family members see Cassie's body as a problem to be solved, reflecting how women are often conditioned to feel broken or wrong for not fitting narrow beauty standards.
Yeah, I did relate to this just growing up as a female. I mean, especially during our time growing up, that was before like the body positive era started. So, I mean, that was still when models were stick thin. I mean, they still are, but that expectation isn't really imposed on the general society anymore, you know? So that I related to that just because of that.
Oh, absolutely. And especially too, like me being a bigger person, and especially like when I was a child, like always feeling like the need to like lessen my space and not taking up space specifically, or like doing like thinking that I needed to lose weight and stuff and to fit those beauty standards, like definitely can relate to Cassie in this book.
Oh, it feels weird when you say Cassie and it's not me.
I was gonna ask, is it weird that
it was a little
the
bit.
character is the same name as you?
Well, it made me think in other movies, TV shows, books, I feel like when they're named Cassie, they're never a great character.
Yeah.
Like Skins. Did you ever watch Skins?
I've never watched Skins.
One of the characters in Skins, Cassie, she's a drug addict. Cool. Whatever. There's another one in the show we've been watching recently. I can't remember what the show's called. But also another Cassie. They're not a great Cassie. And then this one, I mean, she's not bad. She has a knot. She has a knot. So, yeah, it's
I
weird.
think you are a great Cassie.
Thanks. So. Maybe I'm just meant to be the only. I shouldn't say that.
No.
I'm not the only good Cassie around, but to me, I am.
I think you are too.
What other themes did you pick up on?
So another thing that I picked up on was a surrealism as a reflection of trauma. So what I have here and what I noted is Etter's surrealism is a language for trauma, the metaphors and the symbolism that we see in the book. And then by distorting the physical world, she reflects the internal damage left behind by abuse, isolation, and systematic misogyny. Cassie lived experience often feels like a waking nightmare, and that tone seeps into every corner of the novel. I also noted that the surreal moments give shape to emotions that are often too raw or complex for realism. So I felt like all of the stuff that we've seen, like she's taking the complexity and making it into those metaphors. So it's a reminder that pain doesn't always follow logic, and neither does healing.
Right. That's really good.
Thanks.
I like that. I had something about alienation too.
That's a good one because I put like isolation and loneliness. What do you have about alienation?
I said her physical difference alienates her from her peers, leading to a deep yearning for acceptance and normalcy. And her relationships and interactions further explore the theme, highlighting the universal human desire for connection.
Ooh, I like that, Cassie.
Thank you. I love writing my little notes because I just feel so smart when I'm writing it down. But if you just put me on the spot and I didn't have my notes, I would just be spewing like utter nonsense.
Oh, same.
Like what I put here does not compute just straight out, you know?
Yeah. What I had about loneliness and isolation is like both emotional and physical. The emotions that Cassie feels creates a deep sense of longing throughout the novel. The fantasy life she writes for herself, a version where she is beautiful, desired, and loved, shows how the mind tries to escape painful realities. These moments underscore the tension between who Cassie is and who she wants or is told she should be.
I like that. My favorite vision of hers was her being the cake queen.
Oh, yes. Because don't we all want to be a cake queen?
Really? Did we do the spoilers?
Darn it.
I mean, I feel like there's not really a lot of spoilers for this, but.
So just a warning that there are spoilers contained within this podcast episode, and there are content warnings for this book specifically. You will need to be mindful of death, miscarriage, and sexual assault within the Book of Acts. Did you notice any other themes?
Not really, to be honest.
Okay.
I did say, well, you talked about trauma. So, yeah, that was my other one.
My last theme that I noted was it was like a coming of age and like self-discovery type of book. And I said that Cassie is shaped by the forces trying to tame or correct her, and her growth is marked not by acceptance, but by resistance. Etter traces a case. I feel like I always do that. I was going to say Casey and not Cassie.
Well, my mom literally did that to me. My own mother called me Casey the other day.
It's so like, well, I have a friend, Cassie, and she
Mhm.
spells it Kassie. And I'm like, I have a friend, Cassie, and now I have a friend, Casey, and they were both very similar spellings. And I'm like, this is going to trip me up. Anywho, Etter traces Cassie's slow, painful attempt to reclaim her body and her voice, even if that reclamation isn't perfect. It's a raw and honest look at what it means to come into your own power when the world has always tried to take it from you.
How did you feel about when she had her surgery?
I knew it was not going to be this like healing experience for her. I
Yeah.
just felt that like if we're trying to take away the physical appearance, that's not going to take away the emotional feelings that comes with it.
Mhm.
So I just felt truly bad that she felt like she needed to make herself fit the beauty standards.
Yeah.
And especially when what she was dealing with, granted, she had a lot of emotions that came with like the knot and what she was dealing with herself. But when you're trying to take away a physical appearance to fit the beauty standards, that doesn't take away all of the other pain and emotions that you're feeling with it as well.
Right. Like, I think for her, the logic in having the surgery was this is going to fix everything for me.
Yeah.
And it didn't, like, at all.
Yeah.
And I think it's ironic that after she has this surgery, her father passes away and she's going through this like profound grief.
Yeah.
But it's almost like she's grieving her knot too. And I just thought that was pretty smart what she did there. I don't know if it was intentional. I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
But it definitely reflected the grief of losing something that was always literally a part of her.
Yeah. And also too that like it didn't change like her relationship with men either. The not going away.
Like the scars.
Exactly. Because then she had scars and then like the men just didn't like that. And so it just saddened me that Cassie.
What if in the book it actually is Casey, but we're saying Cassie because of my name?
I think so. Maybe. It
You
very
never
well
know.
could be. But all this week I was dealing with this. Anywho, it's because in my head I'm just like, don't say Casey, don't say Casey, don't say
You're
Casey.
tricking yourself into saying it.
And I'm tricking myself. Yes.
What about symbolism? Anything stick out?
Yeah. So the knot specifically.
Of course.
The knot is Cassie's stomach is perhaps the novel's most like potent symbol within this book because it marks pain, difference, and inheritance. It represents the burden of being born into a world that views women as defective or incomplete. The knot also holds emotional weight, symbolizing her internal tangle of shame, fear, and longing. That case, I absolutely. Okay.
Just say it with your chest from now on.
Let me stop reading from this because that's what's tripping me up. Okay. Cassie, I would never say your name wrong.
Thanks.
It's just that I'm reading it. And then now it's because, okay, we had this conversation with my friend at work, and she's also friends with Cassie. And we had this whole conversation about it this week. And so we were just talking about it, and I was like, oh, my friend Cassie, like, we're doing the podcast. And I was like, her name's spelled almost exactly like Casey's. And I was like, that's just going to trip me up because now when I see it written, now I'm going to think both ways of this. Now my mind's playing tricks on me. Okay, where were we?
You were just finishing your symbolism on the knot.
Oh, yes, the knot. The knot also holds emotional weight, symbolizing the internal tangle of shame, fear, and longing. By never fixing the knot, Etter makes a radical statement that healing isn't always about just erasing what has happened. Sometimes it's about learning to live with the parts of yourself that others want you to hide.
Just accepting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw symbolism in the meat quarry.
Yes.
That to me was so weird. That's what the first part that I was like, why are they digging meat out of the ground?
Yeah.
And that still bothers me, and I still don't like it.
Same.
I get why she did it.
Well,
I still don't like it.
What was your thought on the meat quarry, and what do you think it meant?
I think it just meant to symbolize labor.
Okay.
And their status of, I guess, wealth.
Okay.
Because, I mean, they're not wealthy people.
Yeah.
And it's more of like a blue collar situation because her father and her brother would work in the meat quarry.
Yeah.
Digging up meat from the ground. Just the image of that like really grosses me out.
Literally, especially when she was exploring it and then like
ripping it out.
And then it would get all over her and stuff like that.
And
like
the blood. She said the blood. Just, I know that's the surrealist aspect. It's just these images.
Yeah.
But I still don't like it.
When I was looking this up online, and I probably am about to butcher this because I didn't write that down, but when I was looking it up online, I'm pretty sure people thought it meant like basically how men treat women in society, that there's something to kind of like collect and obtain.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I guess I can kind of see that, but I just don't think I could get past the actual visions of the meat quarry and dealing with that.
That makes sense though, because that is where the sexual assault happened.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
Yeah.
Very clever.
I thought so too.
Yeah, that's really all I have for symbolism. I know there's probably a lot more, but I couldn't get past my bias on this.
Okay, so I had two other symbolisms that I noted besides the knot and the meat quarry. Is medical institutions. Throughout this book, she wants to explore ways of how to get rid of her knot. Mm-hmm. And when she's younger, she goes to doctors and like they weren't advanced enough. She just tried to get the shots to make the knot go away, but she doesn't like that. Mm-hmm. Then later somebody else tries to tell her about a physician that she could go to who would specialize in that. Whenever the doctor told her that she can get rid of or that they can get rid of the knot, she doesn't want to do it because it was injections, just like she had tried when she was a child. But then she does end up going through with a surgery to remove the knot. Mm-hmm. And I thought that this specifically were experiences that she went through to try to fix her knot and her physical appearances, and how everybody's just trying to fix everybody, and instead of letting people just exist as who they are. Mm-hmm.
I think it could show just with healthcare for women today, mm-hmm. like giving labor specifically, just knowing how many, in the United States, it's not great. Like there's still a lot of labor and delivery deaths. Mm-hmm. And you don't see that as much in the other first world countries. So that might have been a comparison there just to show, I mean, they're not giving priority to women in healthcare where it's needed.
Absolutely.
Very badly.
And specifically to people of color too. Mm-hmm. The last symbol that I noted was just like the fantasy of it. So I just said that she always has been dreaming of this alternate life. We see that with the visions that she portrays in the book, and that she just wants a life where she feels admired, fulfilled, and whole. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Etter really painted a picture for her desire to be loved and seen.
Yeah, that was my last one.
Do you have any notable quotes?
I did.
Okay, let me hear them.
So the very first one I had was, "A man has never had a knot. That is a woman's burden."
I was going to write that one down too. Mm-hmm. And what I found really interesting throughout the book, and it really does this, It does it throughout the book, but I feel like I've really noticed it in the beginning of the book. And when they were talking about her gut and like her mother's gut and how it always just seemed like the knot was a physical representation of heavy, uncomfortable emotions.
Mm.
And how when you are talking about the knot in that way, that it's not for good. Because when we think of like heavy emotional and uncomfortable feelings, specifically for women, it's never a good thing or never seen as a good thing. But then when they would talk about the father and the son's gut, it was always about good things.
Yeah, like finding the meat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they specifically said like they had a gut instinct that this was where the meat was.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time that they mentioned the father and the son's gut, it was always for something good.
Yeah.
And never the uncomfortable, severe emotions that her and her mom were feeling.
Very good. That's good. I like that. My other one. Well, do you have one?
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you share?
Yeah. So at the end of the book, this quote is, "The beauty of the brightness makes tears flow down my cheeks. I know now that I was wrong. The maw of the world was never metal. It was always bright." And what I felt about this quote was it was a moment of revelation is the word. As she seems that the essence of the world isn't brutality. After all, it is light, which can symbolize truth, hope, beauty, love, or even spiritual awakening.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
My next one is, and I wrote this solely because I relate to it so much, and I'll explain why. It says, "My throat is so full of love and sorrow that no more words come out. I can't breathe, and I know nothing, looking into the heart of the future, the relentless oncoming of death." The last part sounds scary, I know, but it's really the first part where it says no words come out when you literally get so choked up. Yeah. It happens to me all the time. Like literally I'll be watching a TV show and something maybe sort of sad, not something worth like crying about happens, or something happy that, you know, just kind of inspires you a little bit. I get choked up literally every time. And I can't even like turn to Alex or my Nana and say, "This is so cute," because I'm literally choked up and I can't talk.
Yes.
So the no more words come out. I'm like, that is literally me almost every day.
No, same.
So I related to that so hard.
I have a lot of tears to be shed. So.
Yeah. And then I have one more.
Okay, let's hear it.
If I can get my page sorted out. Can you flip that for me? Thanks. Yeah. Okay. My last one was, "We agreed you would be a smiling presence here." Do you remember when that was said?
Gosh, I don't think so.
So it was when Cassie was at work. And she's she's kind of going through it. So, and that's showing on her face. And when her boss said that to her, it really just took me back to all the times a man has come up to me and said, "You should smile more."
Yes.
And I want to wipe that little condescending look right off her face.
Yes.
It made me so angry.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And it was really just fresh for me because that was said to me like 2 weeks ago, and I still have thought about it like every day.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, this is what I typed here because I got mad all over again writing this quote down. It said, "It immediately took me back to the many times a man said, 'You should smile more.' And it makes me so angry. I'm not here to look pretty for you, and I'm not here to make you feel good." And I think the next time a man says that to me, I'm going to say just that.
You should. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
Just so they don't say that to anyone else ever again.
Because we don't say that to men.
No.
So why do they feel the need to say that to us?
Exactly. Like, why do I need to be walking around smiling like a little maniac for no reason?
Yeah.
I can look happy without smiling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I have an RBF.
Yeah.
It's not my problem.
No.
So yeah.
And I feel like it's only to make the other person feel comfortable. And yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. Like, sorry.
Also, some of his comments, I'm in HR, so some of his comments are not HR approved by any means.
He was saying some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
When he was literally saying, I can't comment on blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, you're still saying it.
Yes.
Just because you're saying you can't say it right after you say it does not take it away.
It does not void what you just said.
No.
Yes, I agree. I also, when I was looking at book interviews that the author had with other platforms. And I feel like this book, you really have to be able to provide empathy for her. Because without empathy, I feel like this book is just horror. And you would not be able to really grasp or grapple with the extremes that are displayed in this book. So I feel like if you, at the bare minimum, we have to provide empathy for her.
Yeah.
Because
you know what's crazy though? When she had her surgery and then it was after her dad died and her mom had come to visit her.
Yeah.
And her mom still had her knot. And her mom like was cuddling with her or something and her knot touched Cassie.
Yes.
And she was like, it disgusted me. And I was like, dude, that's something you dealt with for your entire life and you're judging your mom for it.
Yes.
That kind of blew my mind. But she kind of like self-corrects later on. So.
She does. But I feel like that's kind of like what we go through in society too, is that we are accepting when it is us, but then whenever that, whatever it be, but in her case, the physical deformity there, once that's removed from her, then she's just kind of like everybody else or fits the traditional beauty standards that we have in society, that then now you're looking upon other people who have those deformities as less than. Yeah. And it's crazy that like you quickly forget that too.
Yep. Alex, how long have we been recording?
42 minutes.
Okay.
Actually a lot longer than I thought we would be.
We still have time though.
We do.
You know what that means.
Do you want to wrap up the book though? Like a little conclusion?
Yeah.
Okay. So concluding what we just talked about, the Book of X is a visceral, poetic reckoning with womanhood, trauma, and the body. Etter's surrealist approach makes the emotional impact even more powerful, forcing readers to sit with discomfort, but also beauty. It is not an easy read, but it is an unforgettable one. Maybe unforgettable in multiple ways, but I digress. So I think we're going to change gears a little bit because we talked about our Roman Empire books and we've both been wanting to talk about that for a while.
So much.
So these are the books that when I think of Roman Empire, I think of books that like are sticking with me for a long time. What is on your Roman Empire book list?
Okay, so my number one Roman Empire book is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Yes. Probably just butchered his last name because I didn't look up to say the last name correctly. But I'll give you some background on it.
Please.
In the backdrop of Nazi Germany, where shadows loom larger than life itself, the story unfolds through the eyes of a death as the narrator. It centers on a girl named Liesel, who discovers a profound love for literature and a world determined to obliterate it. Amidst the chaos and despair, she learns to navigate her existence, clinging to the words that offer her solace and strength.
I like that. So why is that your Roman Empire book?
I think because, well, I read it when I was a junior in high school. And I remember how old I was because I was reading it for the second time when I was on a family trip with Katie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was her family. So I was just like, it was a car road trip. I was sitting in the back seat and I was just, we were driving for hours and hours a day and it all just passed by so quickly because I had this book in my hands.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting because death is the narrator. And I mean, obviously, Nazi Germany, there were many deaths. So you can just imagine how dark this book really is just through the eyes of death. But it's such a good story.
Oh, definitely.
I think about it all the time.
I feel like it's a classic too. Like it's one that's going to be around for a very long time.
Yeah.
I have unfortunately never read it. I do want to read it. So
good.
Yes. Okay,
please read it. Please.
Yes. Well, I have The Hunger Games, and I promise it is not just recency biased since the new book just was released, but this is a book or series specifically that I have thought about every day since I have read it in middle school.
Every day?
Almost every day.
That's crazy.
I love the Hunger Games. I love the movies. I was actually doing a assignment for my homework recently, and it was just talking about how the Hunger Games, specifically their marketing, was unlike any other at that time. Because when Catching Fire was released, the marketing people for that franchise did something completely different. So I guess it was a common theme for them to just have the actors do interviews, right? And that was kind of like promoting the series and the books. But what they did was, this was the time that like social media kind of started to pop off. So like Facebook, think Tumblr, Twitter, all of that kind of stuff. They created like Hunger Games accounts where they would post as the capital or the districts, and they would have people show off their Capital Couture, if you remember, like all of the elaborate costumes that they did in the Hunger Games series and like all that kind of stuff. So it's so cool. And they had so many different like beauty brands and nail polish. I remember asking my grandmother to take me to Sally's Beauty because they launched China glazed nail polish for the Hunger Games, and I was obsessed. And I made her go and take me to Sally's Beauty so I can get their nail polish. Anyways, so I just love the Hunger Games. I read the previous most recent book, which is Ballad of Songbird and Snakes or something like that. It was President Snow's version of the book, and then now the newest one just released, and I want to read it.
Okay, I haven't either. I've heard it's really good though.
Oh yes, because it's Hamish's story.
And I just read the President Snow book this past year.
I did too,
but
it was all right.
Yeah, it wasn't what I was hoping it would be.
Same. But my plan before I read the most recent book is to read the 3 original books first.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can watch the movie or something.
My next one is Still Life by Sarah Winman. Have you ever heard of that book?
We were talking about it the last time we were in Barnes & Noble together, and you said it was fantastic.
I love that book so much. And I'm going to have to reread it before we go to Italy at the end of May, because it takes place in Florence.
Yes.
For going to Florence. So I just have to reread it. But what it's about is, in the waning days of World War II, a young soldier named Ulysses. Is that how you say that name? Ulysses. Ulysses crosses paths with 64-year-old Evelyn in Italy. During their brief encounter, Evelyn opens Ulysses' eyes to Tuscany's rich art, culture, and stunning beauty. It's a poignant narrative filled with deep connections and memorable characters that have stayed with me long after I finished the novel, even 3 years later.
Dang. I'm noticing a theme, though, in your Roman Empire books, is because this one and the book Thief are all placed within World War II.
And it's funny because in order to get me to really read historical fiction and love it, it's hard. Like most of the time, it's really boring to me. But it's just because the characters are so great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that makes a huge difference. But I think about those characters every day. And I'm so excited to reread it.
Yes. You'll have to let me know how your rereading goes. I would say the next one that I think about often is, well, we were also talking about like the books that raised us too. So this is definitely a bias for that. But The Fault in Our Stars.
I never read that because I knew it was sad. I was like, I'm not reading that. I refuse.
I remember reading this book because it is about 2 teenagers who do have cancer. And they find friendship and then love within their bonded experience through that. And then, spoiler, but Augustus Walters does die. And just with the main character, she like grapples with that and tries to navigate her life after the death of Augustus.
I still remember the okay.
Yeah.
I never even read it, but that was everywhere.
I remember posting that on like Facebook when I was like, 13 years old or something like that. I had no business doing that, but I digress.
Mm.
But I do remember like reading this on like my parents' couch at like 13 years old and crying my eyes out over this book.
I'm never gonna I'm never gonna pick that book up because I know it'll just tear me apart.
It was so good. And I think that also sparked my love of John Green's writing.
Oh, I love John Green.
He's such a fantastic writer. And this was, I was going to assume that this was my first book by him because I was 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it definitely sparked my love for him and his writing.
I kind of forgot about him because I
John
read
Green,
all
yes.
of his books when I was in high school.
Yes.
Like Looking for Alaska.
Yes.
Paper Towns.
I was just about to say, didn't he write Paper Towns? Because I loved that book.
And then Abundance of Catherines was my favorite.
I don't think I've read that before.
Oh, it's good. I have it if you want to borrow it.
Oh, yeah.
I actually bought it for my sister Aubrey.
Uh-huh.
And it was on her bookshelf for long. She's not really a big reader. And I'm trying to get her there. But
we're working on her.
Yeah, we're trying. But she never picked it up. So now it's on my bookshelf again.
Nice.
Yeah. Because I had it as a high schooler and then I don't know where it disappeared to. So now I just have a new copy of it.
Yeah.
But my next one is The Atlas Six.
Yes. But that's Olivia Blake, right?
Yes.
And you're obsessed with her.
When I'm at home or Alex and I take a little Barnes & Noble trip.
Yeah.
Anytime I walk by a book of hers, I just lay my hand on it and I'm like, Mother. And he said, stop doing that. It's weird. But I love her so much. But The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake immerses readers in a dark academia fantasy where 6 of the most formidable young magicians are selected to vie for a coveted spot in the enigmatic Alexandrian society, keepers of forgotten ancient wisdom. But here's the twist. Only 5 will succeed. As they delve into arcane sorcery and begin to peel back the society's mysteries, tensions flare, loyalty shift, and the stakes of survival blur in a perilous game. In this realm, where knowledge equates to power, ambition becomes a treacherous gamble. I think about this book every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those settings where I'm like, I wish I could just visit that world and just live in it for a while because I love dark academia.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that might be my favorite genre, like subgenre to read. It's just hard to find a really good one.
I agree.
Especially after reading the Atlas Six.
Well, you've read all of her books now, right?
I still have to read January's, her collection of short stories. Yes. I'm still using that as a reward for something.
Yeah.
When I do something good.
You'll know it when it comes.
Yeah. And she's about to come out with a new release soon.
Really?
I think it's called Gifted and Talented.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
I know how much you love her. Because I was talking to you about that like National Book Festival in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. Would you go if she was there?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would go just for her alone.
All right. This is our petition for her to be at the National Book Festival in Washington, D.C.
I would cry.
Oh, I believe it.
Just thinking about it. Do you see my eyes? I'm getting teary-eyed.
Yes.
Just the thought of meeting her. Mother.
My next one that I think about quite often is Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune.
I've heard of it.
Yes, because I feel like he became really popular with The House of the Cerulean Sea.
Yeah.
Haven't read that one, but I did read Under the Whispering Door. And I feel like this novel specifically explores life, death, and what comes after. And I just remember like reading it and just feeling like I need to be more intentional with my life, because I feel like sometimes life can do you instead of you doing life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that really helped me kind of put things in perspective, that I'm in the keeper of my life. And it was just beautifully written. And I remember I cry over every single book. It doesn't have to be like the super sad thing anyways, but I just remember like loving this and the messaging just resonating with me.
Mm-hmm. My next Roman Empire series is the Throne of Glass series.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it. I read it, and it's kind of a part of the books that raised me as like an adult reader. Because when I went to college, I mean, all I'm reading is textbooks. Not really, because I didn't read the textbooks that much. But
you're exposing yourself today.
Yeah. But it was just, you kind of lose the magic of reading when you go to college, and you're just going through all the work that it takes. So when 2020 hit, and that's also the year that I graduated college, that's when I got back into reading. And it first started with the ACOTAR series, A Court of Thorns and Roses. And right after that, immediately I went into Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
And I just remember relating to Selena so much and just her journey. So that's why it's one of my Roman Empire reads. But here's my little synopsis for the series. The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas restarted my reading obsession in my adult years, specifically for fantasy. It begins with an assassin in chains and blooms into a spectacular story of world building, complex characters, and resilience.
I still need to read that series.
Dude. Well, okay. Let me say, Alex started reading it. He finished Throne of Glass probably about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
He just finished Crown of Midnight, which is the second book.
Okay. Yeah.
He gave both of them 2 stars.
2 stars?
And 3 stars for Throne of Glass, and then Crown of Midnight was 2 stars. And it breaks my heart. It makes me so sad. He literally read The Will of the Many before starting Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
And it was Sarah J. Maas, I already say her name, her first series that she wrote.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as you read through the series, you can tell, like, the first one was her first book that she wrote. And then from there, like, each one gets better.
Well, I'm pretty sure she started that series when she was like 16 years old, which is crazy.
Yeah. So
I was not doing that
makes
at
me
16.
sad. And it just drives me crazy because I'm sitting there literally watching him read the book.
Yeah.
And I can just see the displeasure on his face. And I just want to be like, just hang in there. It's so good. But he's still going to read the third one. We made a deal.
Oh, yeah.
So he'll end up finishing it. It does get better, though.
Yeah, I'll have to definitely pick that up because I think I have Throne of Glass. And we tried to read that for book club one time.
It was Assassin's Blade.
Okay.
And it was because I actually put off reading Assassin's Blade, and I had already read through the whole Throne of Glass series 3 different times.
Gotcha.
And I just never read Assassin's Blade.
Why?
Because it's considered more of like the prequel.
Okay, got it.
And this may be controversial, but I didn't care as much about Sam.
Oh.
And that was like her man's.
Got it.
Before everything. I just didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's why. I think that's why a lot of our book club is like, I don't really want to keep reading Throne of Glass because they started with Assassin's Blade, which is my fault, but it's because I just didn't read it. So I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to make myself read it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah.
Because I know that even though I haven't read the series, I know that people have very polarizing views of where you should stick Assassin's Blade at. And so I feel like if you're sticking in the beginning, people have very adverse reactions to you sticking it in the beginning and then finishing on with the series. Or if you do it in publishing order, which I think that would have been the 4th book or something like that.
I think
if you did it in publishing. 3rd?
Yeah, after Crown of Midnight, usually people read it. I'm not having Alex read it next, though. I'm just having him skip it. Because I know he's not going to care.
Yeah.
And he's going to hate it. So I'm just going to push him on to the next one, which I think is Heir of Fire. So.
Gotcha.
You have any more?
I have one more. And
oh my gosh, I see it. I see it.
Don't hate me. A Little Life.
Uh-huh.
I saw this, of course, on TikTok back in like 2020, 2021 when it became very popular. I think it's still one of like the more recommended books on there as well. And now I think also the author is a little controversial too, based on some of the small videos that I've seen on that. Mm-hmm. But This book follows 4 college friends, and it really grapples with like their life trauma and the deepening of their relationships. But this book is heart-wrenching. And I feel like this is the first book that I really felt like I was there with the characters and I was a part of each of their lives too. It was devastating, and I still think about it constantly.
My mom has been pushing this book on me for years.
Yeah.
And I just know how horrible it is.
Oh, yeah.
In the sense of like it's going to destroy me.
Yes.
And if you couldn't tell with the fault, is it the fault of our stars or my stars?
The fault of ours.
The fault in our stars. If I know it's sad, I avoid it.
Yeah.
With everything I have.
You have to be in the right headspace for it to deal with that.
People do little time lapses of them reading through this book, and you can just see them crumple, and they end up depressed afterwards.
Oh no, absolutely.
That's the last thing I need. I don't want to be depressed.
I know.
Because of a book that I read. So I'll eventually get to it, but
well, it's a big book. It's like 900 pages. That's also a big commitment in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Well, I do have the books that raised us, my little segment here. Right. Should I just go into it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I said, as a youth, the books that raised me were A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh. I think about it. I probably should have added it to my Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Because for one, I tell the middle schoolers when they ask for book recommendations, that's one that I tell them.
Yeah.
My next one is The Vampire Diaries by L.J. Smith.
Of course.
The show, I love the show, but it's still so disappointing, like how much is different.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's another conversation to be had. My next one is Twilight.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So I was reading Twilight. I stole it from my mom.
Yeah.
The first book, I was in 6th grade. I read that book when I was in the 6th grade. So that means I was reading the rest when I was like an 8th grader.
Oh, I remember reading New Moon specifically when I was in 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah.
Granted, I had no idea probably what most of that was, but...
Yeah, it was... Well, first, were you a Team Jacob girly or Team Edward?
Oh, Jacob all
That's
the
what
way.
I was. I asked Alex that the other day.
Yeah.
And you said Team Edward, right?
Yeah.
Edward? Jacob.
We don't need that paleness here.
No.
Oh, okay. So my next one is The Kite Runner by...
Yes.
Don't know how to say the name correctly, but Khalid Hosseini? Hopefully I didn't butcher that. But I think about that a lot too. We read that as part of our AP Lit curriculum. So I know Amanda read it, but it's so good.
It is really good. And I read 1,000 Splendid Suns here recently. I would say not recently, but within the last 2 to 3 years. And that one is beautifully written, just like The Kite Runner.
I may need to read that.
You need to.
There's so many books that I have to read, though.
And it keeps adding.
I know. It never ends. But that's what makes me a reader great. My next one was The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I remember getting a copy of this book, cutting out my favorite pages and pasting them on my wall.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's such like a very like 2010s, like
Tumblr
that era. Yeah. Thing to do.
It was so good. And especially just reading that as a high schooler.
Yes.
It really changed my perspective on a lot of things. So like that, reading that book at that time was just perfect for me.
Oh, absolutely.
I just remembered how great it was. And the next one is the Mortal Instrument series by Cassandra Clare.
I haven't heard of that either.
Yeah, I loved it. Have you ever watched City of Bones? They made a movie, and then they have a Hulu series, and it's called Shadowhunters.
Okay, maybe I've watched that.
Look, the movie is way better.
Really?
Way better.
Okay.
So you need to watch the movie.
Definitely.
City of Bones.
City of Bones.
And it has Lily Collins. I love her.
I do too.
Yeah.
Did you watch her, Emily in Paris? Yeah, I just love her.
Yeah. That show is ridiculous though.
I did like a whole Emily in Paris like birthday party thing a couple years ago because I just loved her in that. I just love her in general, but I just loved her in that.
She has the most iconic eyebrows too.
I was just about to say her eyebrows are to die for.
I love her.
Yes.
But okay.
Yes.
Oh, our next book. So if you want to read along with us, I'm sure a lot of people have already read it, so you may not even have to worry about reading it unless you want to reread it. You want to say what it is?
Yeah. This will be a reread for me, actually. But our next book is going to be The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna.
And we know Kristen Hanna is pretty beloved in the reading community. Sorry, wasn't making a lot of noise. But yeah, if you want to read along with us or just tune into the next episode, that is the book we will be talking about.
And you can find us on our socials at Novel Matters for YouTube and for TikTok at novel.matters.pod. Right. Until next time.
Thank you. Bye.